He's on. You got a roll call, Lori.
Dick Poofall,
Here.
Mike Berlin, Clarence Campbell,
Here.
Bill Metzinger,
Here.
Martin Vitek,
Here. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mike moves to approve the agenda.
Bill will second it.
Motion by Mike Berlin, seconded by Bill Metzinger. All those in favor say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public comments. Seeing no public, we will go right to number 4. Anybody online? Anybody online want to get into the public comment period? Hearing none, we'll go on to number 4. Approval of executive committee meeting minutes from January 17th, 2023.
I'll move approval.
This is Marty Vitek, I second.
Motion by Bill. Oh, Clarence, I'm sorry. And seconded by Marty. All in favor, say aye.
all right.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Appointment of Brett Martins into Ag and Extension Committee.
I'll make that motion, Mike. So is this a at-large position or,
It's a citizen member. A citizen member,
okay, that's like a Martin, okay.
We don't need a approval, do we?
it still needs approval.
I would second it, Richard.
Motion to approve by Mike Berlin, seconded by Bill Metzinger. All those in favor, say aye.
All right,
Motion carries. Thank you. Joint dispatch update.
Okay, yeah, everybody has a PowerPoint packet in front of them. I'm gonna put it on the screen here too. And then here. So this is a process that's moving really, really fast. We have a grant application we have to submit by May 1st. So this is the part of the work that's going into it. There's still a bunch of work to do. But I'll hit the highlights. So team members from Ashland County are Supervisors Mertig and Stendor. Myself, Sheriff Zupke, Ashley Larson, who is our chief dispatcher. Taylor Foley, who does IT for the sheriff's department and understands all the radios and everything needed for dispatch. And then Jen Solberg's on occasion when we need help with land records and mapping. Brittany Goodas Webster is also helping out with the mapping. So the goal here is to improve 911 services for everyone in both counties. This would entail moving up to next gen 911, which the state is going to end up forcing us to do at some point anyhow. So right now they're offering grants to help support this move to next gen 911. And so that's what we're trying to do. Instead of having to pay for it ourselves, let the state pay for part of it. There's also Speaker Voss is also pushing innovation grants in the legislature, and those would reward counties and municipalities, or counties and counties, or municipalities and municipalities for merging services. So there'd be extra grant money available to us potentially if the speaker gets his way in the budget. So we are obviously hoping for that and moving towards that.
What's that?
Can you, whoever's online, can
Oh.
you please mute yourself? So again, the purpose is to improve service for everyone, improve accessibility. One of the things we'll be doing is having more dispatchers on duty at all times. That way we can do emergency medical dispatch. So that would be, God forbid, somebody has a heart attack. The person calling 911 will get information on how to help that person until either police officers or an ambulance or a fire department can arrive. So it would, and they would stay on the line with them the entire time, helping the person, help the person who's in trouble. That necessitates having more dispatchers on duty because that person can't get off the phone. So, and other calls would have to be answered. Also, it creates a unified system. We already share a records management system in Cody, but it also creates the same technology. We'd also be moving it up to WISCOM, which is the state's dispatch radio network. So it put us in better contact with the state also for in case of emergency. And of course, we be upgrading our communications equipment to current stuff. So again, the real thing is better service. You know, so we'll move forward. You can see this. So governance structure. So there would be, what we're looking at is an intergovernment structure to manage dispatch. So it would be members from Ashland County and Bayfield County on the commission, and they would provide oversight. So as of right now, we're looking at 6 members on that commission. So it'd be the 2 sheriffs, the 2 administrators, and 2 county board members appointed by the board chairs, respective board chairs. And of course, the board chair would be able to appoint themselves to that position too, if they so choose. And I believe that would be confirmable by the entire county board, that appointment. We'd be hiring basically a department head for dispatch. So they would function the same as the highway commissioner or the HHS director or any other department that counties have. There's also would be an advisory board made up of local law enforcement, local fire departments. So they would be able to, and potentially citizens too, and they would be there to advise the oversight board and tell them the problems that they're seeing on a daily basis. So if fire department in pick a town, Jingles, let's say, well, they actually served by Ashland. So let's say Butternut is experiencing dispatch issues, or in Red Wing is experiencing dispatch issues. They would have an avenue to go to the oversight board to try to rectify these problems. They'd also have a way to suggest improvements to the system too. But this puts all the stakeholders, it gives them an ability to be part of the governance. And also Bayfield County would be the employer of record. So dispatch would move to Washburn. They have more space for dispatch, and they would serve as the employer of record. So all of our dispatchers would become Bayfield County employees. The pay wages and benefits would be the higher of the 2 counties. So that's, in this case, it's Bayfield County. So all of our dispatchers would get a pay raise, and they would get stuck on Bayfield County's wage scale. So they would see increases every year. And they would get their health insurance and stuff through Bayfield County. So these are the titles of the people that we expect. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Bill. As far as the salary and expenses, is it going to be split equally?
Yeah, I was getting to that. Yeah, Bayfield County has proposed a 50-50 split on all expenses. So that includes the cost of maintenance, the cost of wages and benefits. It also includes the cost of administration. So like they're going to be doing payroll. So there's a cost associated with that. So we would pay 50% of that cost. So yeah, the expectation is a 50-50 split and 50-50 decision on who to hire as the department head. Everything would be split right down the middle. So is it going to be, and then to get to the question that you're probably thinking to yourself, is it going to be cheaper? No. It's not going to be cheaper, at least not initially. There are startup costs. And to be honest, if we're hiring more dispatchers to improve service, it's going to cost more. So there's a slide for that we're going to get to, but we can talk now too.
This is Marty Vitek. Where will they be located?
They'll be located in Washburn at the facility that they currently use in Bayfield County. Yes, sir.
This is Bill. If down the road, once we get things settled and organized better, we got the chance of taking Iron County and maybe another county in between, or Price
Yes.
County.
Yes.
And would that lower our rates then?
Yes, yes, and that is what we're planning for, to bring in other counties. I know Burnett County has already expressed interest and at least looking at it. So the reality is with mapping today, you can literally be in India and doing this, or South Dakota, or wherever, because you don't need to know that we turn at the white church and then left at the big tree. You don't need to know that geography anymore because the mapping is all there. So yes, the goal is down the road to bring other counties in after it's up and established. And yes, that would lower costs down the road. But again, it would provide better service to everybody too. So we're definitely hoping that will happen. Now that new county that comes in, there would be a buy-in cost for them too. They would have to purchase the correct equipment for their own radios and have enough towers themselves and be capable of using WISCOM. And yes, then they would also have to pay for their share of service. So anyhow, like I said, we're looking at having a department head. I'm sorry, Mr. Berlin.
So then, I believe at one point in time, we did ask a question with regards to Ashland or Iron County. If the reason why we're Ashland Bayfield County right now is because Bayfield and Ashland County has to co-service the island over here.
Yeah, we have very good, we already share a records management system. So for us, it makes a lot of sense for these two counties.
So then Iron County is taking a backseat, or Price County or Burnett. or
Right.
whoever is taking a backseat to us, only for us to have time to get this underground operating, and then we can bring other surrounding counties in.
Correct, if those counties so desire. Their county boards would have to affirmatively decide to join it too. And I'll be honest, there are some counties that will join, and some counties that won't. But that's really up to them. So, and we don't know what the future is going to hold either. Let's be honest. So right now, 2 counties are more manageable because you only have 2 boards to deal with and 2 sheriffs to deal with. It's going to be more complicated when we add more.
This is Bill. Do you have any idea what the increase as far as cost is going to be for upcoming year?
We're looking at about 50 to 100,000. And of course, that's depending on having full staff. So if there's not full staff, you're not paying extra wages for that year. And also that depends on what kind of grants we get from the state too. If we were to get that innovation grant, if that goes through, that would lower our costs.
But typically, this is Mike, typically when you're doing grants and we're applying for some of this free money out there, is this a cash match, 5%, 10%, or is this all 100% funded?
No, they're going to give us about $700,000. That's what the grant, there's an amount a set amount that they give. So we'll be getting some money this year, some money next year, next budget year for the state. So after July 1st.
So if they've already set this up, there's no cash match, so we don't need to have.
Well, we pay for the rest of the expenses.
Hmm.
It's both counties. So I know you're going to ask where the money is going to come from. So we have that local county and tribal assistance fund that we got from federal government last year and this year. So it's $577,000 each year. So that's $4 million that we, and I know we talked about this before, that we could allocate to this, to any additional expenses. I do think the feds are probably going to keep doing that, so there might be more money down the road. So we do have over $1 million for additional expenses, and we're probably going to have to use some of that. We're probably going to need to buy a new tower because to make sure we cover the entire county. And there are going to be radio upgrades. I mean, more so than beyond the grant, because we have to move to new technology.
So this is Mike again. So then if we're looking at a new tower or upgrading a tower, are we looking at a location like say down in Mellon, or they got a tower up on a hill over there?
Yeah, we were looking in the southern part of the county and closer to the reservation.
Yeah, that could feel so. The only reason I know that is because the Superior Connection out at the reservation, they're looking at that same area as well for
Yeah.
a tower for themselves or their operation.
Yeah, and we would certainly we'd certainly contact existing cell phone companies and stuff to see if we can use their towers too and pay them a fee for that, or not charge them a rental fee for putting up a new tower on county property. Some way we would certainly look at private towers.
More cost effectiveness, obviously.
More cost effective, better range, because they have multiple towers. But yeah, we would try to arrange a deal where like we wouldn't get rental payments for use of their towers and when they put up new ones. I'm sorry. No, that's just. All right, so we would hire, again, a department head, an emergency communications director is the working title. There would be some lead dispatchers. So when the department head is not there, there would be a lead dispatcher. That we didn't see a point in having lead dispatchers 24/7. And then there would be all of our dispatchers. Other departments would provide assistance as they currently do. So like we have Taylor providing IT assistance, Brittany would still provide GIS assistance, and IT in Bayfield County would be providing assistance. And their GIS person would also. So that part wouldn't change, but there would be initially more work for them. Now, I want to stress that we did already get a grant, state grant for the mapping portion. So that's in process. So you'll see these are different options of service models, whether you do it based on number of calls, which would mean more for us, or you base it on different options. Again, Bayfield County has said that the numbers are close enough. They just want to do 50-50. And if you look, they are fairly close. I mean, it's within a couple thousand calls a year. So you can see there's a lot of things that we have in common. So the idea is to have several people on staff and on at all times. They'd be working 12-hour shifts like they do now. So we'd have during the day 4 people on, and at night we'd drop down to 2 or 3, depending on the day or what's going on. So like, if there's a festival going on in Ashland County, there'd be more dispatchers on. If there's one going on in Bayfield County, there'd be more dispatchers on, because when you have large groups of people, you just have generally more need for either law enforcement or emergency services in general. So that part would be flexible.
Question.
Yes, sir.
This is Bill. If after a year or 2, we see that this isn't working out, we can opt out?
There will be an opt-out provision. However, I think it will be longer than a year or 2. It'll probably be more like 3 years notice. And that's largely because the cost of the equipment and the changing of everything is so cost intensive that there will be a longer period opt-out. The idea is to make this work too. So we haven't set a set time on that yet, but we're looking at least 3 years notification. That will allow for at least 1 or 2 county board elections and 1 sheriff election, where that could be an issue and new boards can make new decisions, or new sheriffs may make new decisions. No, this is informational. We'll be doing this at Finance Committee too. And we'll be doing this at PPLE also. And we'll be doing it at the full board. We just want, and as we get more information, we'll be giving more information. But, you know, we felt it was important that to keep all the boards apprised of everything as we move along. So if there's questions or comments or things you'd like to see changed, you know, we still have time to do that. So we want to keep it as open as possible. I'd also want to again stress that Supervisor Stender and Mertig are on this committee, and they're available for questions too or comments. So if you don't want to tell me, you can talk to them. And we did choose them because there would be representatives from the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county. We wanted to make sure the county was entirely represented. So again, we're working on the GIS portion right now already because we've received that grant. Whether or not dispatch happens or not, the GIS portion needs to be addressed. So we'll have to reconcile our 2 radio systems. We're also going to have a backup answering point. So if, you know, say there's a tornado and the dispatch site in Washburn goes down, whether it's just the communications lines go down or it actually is a physical damage, there has to be a backup site. And that backup site is going to be here at our current location. So there will be a cost to set up a radio transmitter between the 2 stations so that data can be coming in real time, regardless of what happens to internet lines. This is just technology stuff that. So we're looking at the total cost of 1.7, almost $1.7 million in technology. Again, state grants are going to be covering half of that. So budgeting, this is probably where you guys want to see most everything. So these are what we're looking at for wages for the individuals working. Now that includes benefits, those numbers. So it's, you know, healthcare, retirement, all that. But we wanted to make sure nobody gets a pay decrease and that everybody gets paid at the higher wage scale to be fair to everyone. Pretty soon we will be having to set up that governance board. So that legal document is in the works right now. We will hopefully have a draft of that by beginning of next week, which I will send out to everybody to look at. As soon as that legal document is completed and both county boards sign off on it, we are going to have to hire the director position. Because that's the person who's going to be leading the implementation of the joint dispatch. And that's the person who's going to be training all the current dispatchers because they're going to have to learn, both sides are going to have to learn something new. So we're looking at the 1.3 million is our estimated operating costs. We spend about 625,000 now, 650,000 now. So for, you cut this number in half, That's where you get the $50,000 to $100,000 increase. So this would be based on an activity-based calculation. We're not doing that. We're doing 50-50. So these numbers are not going to matter much, but it's going to show you what the difference would be if we did it based on the number of calls. And so there's other ways of doing this. This is also based on 15 dispatchers. We're looking at 13 to 16. So the number is probably being closer to 14. Again, that's dependent on who we get and who we hire and what future call volume is. So things that go into the implementation, there's everything from oh, yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, this is Mike over here. Out of curiosity here, like say, for instance, we got a call center here and say, the majority of the calls come from, Ashland County. Like
So-
say, 3,500 calls a month or whatever the case may be. And over here at Bayfield County, it's gonna be like, say, oh, I don't know, say, something erratic, like say maybe 1,000, 1,500 calls a month.
Mhm.
And, the cost that we're sharing here, $1.3 million, that's cost inclusive, share across the board, no matter how many calls. how many
Correct. It's
versus-
Correct. It's a 50-50 split in costs. One is we don't know how many calls future county are going to come in the future. But two, the accounting is much easier. Three, you're not having to refigure that amount every single year based on the call volumes of previous years. It was just felt it was much simpler to go right down the middle. And much-
Obviously, at some point in time, I'm probably right out of the gate, once we open the doors or start our operation, we're gonna see an influx of, what do you call, calls coming from Ashland County. Significantly out here at, say, the Bedouin tribe. Well, you also have a Red Cliff tribe in Bayfield County, but the influx of, say, emergency calls going out to Bedouin, we have ambulance going out there daily, if not multi times
Yep.
during the day. And of course, each time that unit goes out there or is called, that's got to be at least be one or how many calls to the emergency service center.
Yeah, and that will be dispatched the same way it is now. I will say that the majority of the calls are not to Bad River. Most of the majority of the calls in Ashland County are to the city. The city has the vast majority of the 911 calls.
Okay,
mean-
well, I just need to ask a question.
No, you do. It's fair. And Bad River will have representation on that advisory board,
Yeah,
as will Red Cliff. And their service will not be changed. They will get dispatched the way they do now or even more promptly.
so Mike again here. So once this is developed and put together, is there going to be a tribal representation on this board? Red Cliff and Bedouin?
Yeah, on the advisory board,
Okay,
assuming that they want to put somebody on.
sure.
I mean, there will be a seat for them.
Well, both tribes have an emergency management, what do you got, people out there.
Yep.
So I wouldn't see why they would not want to.
I would think they would want to, but again, it's still their decision.
Yeah,
We will offer the spot to them and they get to choose whether or not to fill it.
thank you.
Just like the city of Ashland, if they don't want it, if their fire department will be offered a spot. If they choose not to fill it, that's their choice. Same with, the combined fire departments in the southern part of the county. They'll have the opportunity. However, if they choose not to, they choose not to.
This is Mike again. The thing is that, say, Red Cliff, they've got their ambulance and they got the fire department over
Yep.
there. And likewise with Bedouin, they've got the fire department that they kind of take care of the town of Sandburg.
Yep.
And right there, now they're in negotiation with ambulance service as well.
Yeah,
So they're kind of like in a transition
Yep.
phase. But, it only makes sense for me to coordinate and collaborate with those entities as well. It's, kind of like, say, for instance, the city of Mellon or, whatever.
yeah. Yeah, so that the dispatch portion of it won't change. for anybody.
Okay,
In fact, again, there'll be actually more dispatchers on duty, so they'll probably get better service. And that's the goal of this, to provide better service to everyone in both counties. Whether it's on the reservation or not the reservation.
okay.
The goal is to provide better service to everyone so they get dispatched, whether it's fire or ambulance or police, faster and better, more efficiently.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of cost, technology cost with it. There's probably gonna be overtime for certain people to help execute the plan. The human resources integration is probably the most challenging part of it. Merging the two staffs together is difficult. But we've brought dispatchers in on the process from the very beginning, and we're hoping that they will buy in when they see the final plan. But again, our head of dispatch, Ashley Larson, has been integral in this, and she's been reporting back to all of her dispatchers and taking their concerns into account. So this is more HR stuff. The budget considerations, again, like I just mentioned, buy-in from staff is a huge one. That's a huge one. There's going to be, that oversight board will have to create joint policies. There's going to be training for the different new systems. We have to set up quality assurance metrics to make sure that we're providing the service that the people expect. So we need to make sure we're meeting or exceeding those expectations. So here we go, all the questions surrounding policies and procedures, and the protocols. Some of this is technical, like PowerPhone is something that we use. It's a software that we use in our dispatch services. To establish a training program right now, both counties train their dispatchers differently. So we'd have to create one unified training program for new dispatchers. More of that continued. Hit the quality assurance I was talking about earlier. And I'm going to post this whole thing on the website too, under this meeting for anybody in the public that wants to see it. And we'll be posting this in the finance committee meeting. That'll be on the 20th. And we'll post it in the county board meeting at the end of the month, plus any new information we get. So here's kind of the basic structure of where we start. There's a joint consolidation team that answers to both counties. And then, finance and human resources have to work together. So we have Mike and Steve working on this as our new directors of finance. And they're working with Bayfield County's finance director to make sure that work on all make sure the budgeting is correct, and then figure out how to manage the assets. Who owns what, how do you handle all that stuff? Then, once we bring the director on board, that would be the project manager. And they would handle all the other aspects of it. This is one of the structures on the consideration. So you have the governing body, then how it filters down on the chart. So the governing body, again, there would be a county board member on that appointed by the chair. So we're looking at a timeline of up 18 months to 2 years to do full integration. And that timeline could be extended because, there's supply chain issues everywhere too still. So if we can't get the equipment we need in time, we'd have to move that timeline out. But this 18 months to 2 years is intended to get all the new systems operational get all the staff trained, to get everything put in place so that when we flip the switch and go, everybody's ready. So these are the basic steps for year one, which is sort of what we're doing right now. You know, we've done some of this stuff already. The first one, the governance, and is going to be the next step the county board takes, agreeing to how do we govern this organization.
So this is Mike again. Do we have someone that in Ashland, Bayfield County that might step up to the plate here and take this position?
The director's position?
Yes.
Yes, there is
We've got
our
qualified
name or
people?
two that are being floated around.
We've got qualified people, okay.
Yeah, but
Because these guys are gonna hit the ground running.
they're gonna hit the ground running, yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of things that need to be established. And wow, this person is got a job ahead of them,
Yes.
he or she, or
Yep.
whoever may be. But yeah,
And I'll be honest, both sheriffs have a job ahead of them and both chief deputies.
so
I mean,
they'll be in constant contact with both sheriff departments
Yep.
at all times.
Yeah, both sheriffs, in contact with both sheriffs at all time. I want to stress both sheriffs are in favor of this. So that's good. That we do have buy-in from the sheriffs. And they've been part of this whole plan since the very beginning.
I'm glad we got Mike and Steve working with us on this because it's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So then next would be the full integration of people, which, and we need to get everything done before we do that.
Well, this person's gonna have a job in front of them only because some of the discussions we had previous with regards to our Ashland County people having to travel
For Washington,
additional distance
right,
to do their job.
right. Now, I will say that their wages will go up. Because they will be,
That significant?
I'm sorry?
Will it be that significant or?
Yeah, it'll be significant. Plus, Bayfield County has a step scale right now. So every year they would be getting a 2.5% increase as opposed to how we've been doing it.
Those are stress jobs too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so the goal is to create enough people, have enough people in those positions to lower the stress. So to lower the forced overtime. Because if we get, somebody gets sick and you have only 2 people in there, that's one person who's stuck there until the next shift. Or if somebody calls in, somebody's going to have to work 24 hours. So the goal is to reduce the stress too for the dispatchers, to give them normal work weeks, to allow them to have normal family lives. But yes, they would, our dispatchers would see a pay raise, and they'd also see a slightly better benefit package too. Bayfield County uses the state health insurance plan, which is slightly more generous than ours. So they would see a benefit in that respect too. Go ahead. Did you have another question?
The Christmas tree there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we've been having status calls every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Again, all of you are welcome to join if you like to get an update. So we're kind of, I think, through us, the highlights. So, yes, sir.
First of all, are we losing anything in the process?
No, I think we're only gaining. I think, again, we have to do the technology upgrades, which is good for everyone. And I think we're gaining more redundancy in dispatching.
And the second question I have is the reason for moving this to Bayfield County because of the size of facility that they have. Is that the main reason?
Yes, Bayfield County has has a bigger, better size facility that can accommodate 5 dispatchers at once.
Okay.
Yeah, plus they have a better IT infrastructure there. they literally have, a dedicated power and internet connection that is below ground and
Well, I guess what I'm thinking doesn't involve emergency dispatch. Like in Ashton here, if you want a police officer, by the time it goes through the system, you don't need them anymore. Of course, that's got nothing to do with this. I realize that. but-
Right. Well, the other thing is down the road would be offering text to dispatch too. So say you're in a place where you can't really call or in a situation where you can't call, you can text dispatch too. So that'll be something that will come online as a process of this consolidation. Yes, sir.
As time goes on and adjustments need to be made, that would be a function of the governing.
Yes, the
body.
governing body.
All that stuff wouldn't have to come back.
No, it would not have to come back here. Major changes, we would, changes with if the governance board felt both county boards should weigh in, they would. Again, we're having, county board members are going to be on these committees. And so they can certainly request that their boards look at anything. But it would not be a requirement.
Oh, this is Mike, and the reason I have my light on is, question is just, come to me is that in the initial setup upgrade of this operation, is is this gonna be done in a phase, situation, like say, we're gonna set everything up over in Beeville County, and then we're gonna have our secondary operation over here in Ashland County?
Yeah.
So, the equipment itself and stuff like that, it's gonna be a major cost.
Yes,
Is this all gonna be done simultaneously, or is it gonna be phased?
it's going to be phased. We'll be setting up the PSAP in Washburn first.
Initially?
Yeah, and then we'll be setting up the backup PSAP here. Both will have to be in place before we go live. But yeah, it's going to take time to do it. So, and we only have so much IT staff to do
Are we
it.
talking, when we're talking time, are we talking this 2-year?
The
timetable?
18 months to 2 years, yeah. Dependent on being able to get the equipment. Again, there could be a huge back order for equipment and we don't get stuff for 2.5 years. The timeline would have to be pushed back then because we don't have the technology in place.
So then, if we're talking the May 1st deadline to get this next grant application, and we have staff to facilitate that,
Yes,
so that's already in the process.
yes, it is.
Okay, and that's what some of this, what we're doing right here.
Yes.
Mike and Frank has done.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing right now is getting the grant application ready. And that will be submitted by May 1st. And we've been assured by the Department of Military Affairs, they've actually saved money for us from this current grant period. Any other questions? And again, this information is going to be constantly updated because, decisions are being made as we go along. So there will be new information for you at your next meetings.
Okay, we'll go to number 7.
Make a motion to go to close.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there was an item, we had amended the agenda that you may not be looking at, that we skipped. It's the real quick one. Share screen. We need to add Kyle Gadot as a signer on the jail account at Superior Choice Credit Union. The resolution that the county board passed last year says the executive committee needs to authorize that. And it's on this amendment. So if somebody could make a motion to add Kyle, our jail administrator, as the signer.
This is Marty Vitek, also move.
Mike seconds that.
That's different than what we.
Yeah, it was amended on Friday.
Hmm?
This was amended on Friday. So. Yeah,
I might get a new one.
I'm not sure why you did not. So you have a first and a second.
Hmm?
You have a first and a second. You have a motion and a second. Marty and Mike.
All right, now what is the motion in the second on?
Adding
I
Kyle.
can't read that from here. I don't have it here.
Okay, it's adding Kyle Kadat, our jail administrator, as a signer on the jail account at Superior Choice Credit Union.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill,
How long has Kyle been working for Ashland County?
January, oh wait, Ashland County, he's been working here for some 3-4 years. He's been jail administrator since January.
Was the other jail
Yes.
administrator on the account?
Yes.
So on that previous jail administrator, that person's coming out,
That person's already been taken off.
but
That person was removed from the account in January. Our treasurer and board chair went and signed to take that person off.
okay.
And just to clarify, treasurer, board chair, Missy Moravitz and Kyle would be all of the signers. The treasurer and board chair are signers in every account. And, it's just that sort of incident, why they are signers on the account, that we can remove somebody right away.
all right, we have a motion and a second on the table to approve Carl Kadat as
The Superior Choice Credit Union account.
Aye.
Okay, so I'll just write a letter and have Chairman Poofall sign it to the. Yes,
Use your microphones, please.
need a motion to go into closed session.
Make the motion, Mike.
Motion by Mike. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
roll call.
Aye.
It's a roll call vote.
Dick Poofall, Dick Poofall,
Yes.
Oh,
Mike Berlin,
Yes.
Clarence Campbell,
Yes.
Bill Metzinger,
Yes.
Martin Vitek.
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
Lori, can you remove everybody from the room except for Supervisor Mertig?
yes. Including myself?
Yes.
Okay.
And for the record, Supervisor Mertig is, all supervisors are allowed in the closed session.
This is Mike. Oh,
Dan, I can't put myself in the waiting room. It must be because I'm co-host, so I think you
Yep.
have to put me in there.
Okay. Let's see.